The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood! And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Hello, everyone. And you know what? We have a short show this evening. We can do as the critic does.
How short is it going to be, Robert?
I'm not playing your games, Mark.
You know what? I'll do it for you. Plot synopsis. There's a nun. There's a girl with a demon.
Please stop.
The girl gets exercised. The movie's over.
And that's it. Plugs.
Plugs. Go check out Robert's MMA and wrestling coverage. Go check out Jason's football thing. Go check out my OnlyFans. Good night, everybody.
You know, Mark, you joke. But you and I both know you're about 3 weeks away from starting an OnlyFans.
You know, I was on TikTok today, and there's so many people doing TikToks of like them taking a picture of like their wife's feet, you know, to pay bills. And I tell you, I'm this close.
There's a lot. Look, gentlemen, we all know that. Hang on, before I say what I'm about to say, I need to understand. Jason Teasley is here with us. Jason, how you doing?
I'm here, and yes, I have taken pictures. I thought we was all on board with already taking pictures of our wife's or significant other's feet.
I think more importantly, Jason, are you on board with the Damn You Hollywood OnlyFans page that Robert and I have been mapping out?
Yeah, but see, I was just going to start an Only Dads where it's just me shirtless, grilling and cutting grass and giving advice.
That's part of it.
Why don't you join our thing? But you can like the content can stay the same. Like I'm not married to any one concept for a Damn You Hollywood OnlyFans.
You have to understand how this is going to work. Like we all know who in the network is going to be posting the illicit stuff. We don't have to name names. We all know who.
Hi, Mark.
Among others.
Tribute.
Among others. Let's not pretend he's the only one.
Facts.
Jason's going to be doing the dad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He will not be the only one, but he can do that. And then interspersed in this is going to be me.
This is the question.
Doing stuff that is of no relevance to anything that anyone is there for.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. How do you contribute to this, Robert? Because
I have it. I have Robert's angle.
Negatively.
I have Robert's angle. Robert, in his over the years that we've been friends and we've been doing this, I've always referred to him as Sam the Eagle of the Radulich Broadcasting Network. So Robert is going to like secondhand judge other people's OnlyFans stuff and negatively all the time, just criticizing it. It's like, you know.
No, you know how like some of these girls have like you can submit certain things. Yeah, that we're just going to have people submit clips to Robert just to have him judge them.
Oh God, Robert's going to do penis ratings.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
No. Look, if you want to try and do that, I will give you 3 stock clips. I will record 3 generic reviews, and you just cycle through them for whoever sends anything in.
That works for me.
That
just fine.
works.
Yeah,
We can do that.
I'm glad we're not having this in public, and people won't know how the magic is made.
Oh no, 90. Look, any top earner on OnlyFans is actually farming out the majority of their interactions to other people. Oh no, I'm sorry. You're all stupid and think that magic is real, idiots.
What are we talking about tonight, Mr. Judge My Penis?
So we went.
You don't want me to
OnlyFans
judge. Hold on.
nuts.
I'm warning you on this, Mark. I'm seriously warning you. You don't want me. You don't want to go there with me.
Don't tempt mine. Do not tempt Mark, because that could lead down a very dark path that you may never recover from.
Right. What are we talking about tonight, Robert?
One, you'd need a much better camera than you have access to, so the resolution could be high enough.
My resolution is just fine. I just don't record at 1080p.
Not for that.
How do you know?
My 1080p camera is just fine for people to see publicly my genitalia. However, that is not what we're here to discuss. The camera or my genitalia, contrary to popular opinion. What are we talking about tonight, Robert, for the third fucking time?
Well, I was hoping cauliflower.
Oh my God.
You don't even get eggplant. You get cauliflower.
Ooh. Ooh.
I warned you.
I would like to think more of myself as a dill pickle.
You can think of yourself however you want.
Well, you don't know firsthand what my genitalia. Do I need to get my wife out here? Who's into
your wife told me.
Yeah, she did not. My wife don't talk to you.
Want to bet?
Yeah.
You sure you want, Mark? I don't make bets I can't win.
When does my wife talk to you?
I'm still.
Since we started joking about this, I knew I would need ammunition.
So you asked my wife about my genitalia?
I'm just saying.
Can we please move this on?
I'm for it more like a butternut squash.
We really need to restart this episode. We got off on the wrong foot here.
This is the weirdest opening we've ever done.
It helps.
She said, by the way.
So,
all right. Title of your sex tape. I'm begging you to move this on, as per usual. Yes. Or sure. Do we hate this movie? Is this literally
here? I've got some charts and
please.
My God, since like Pixels, maybe have we hated a movie this much that we're avoiding talking about it this badly?
It's up there. Wasn't there an Adam Sandler movie we reviewed after Pixels or not?
I think it was Pixels. Yeah,
it might have been, because like ever since then it's been Netflix crap.
This is bordering Pet Sematary remake.
It's up there.
Yeah, I wasn't on that one to wrangle you fucking cats, and get the review done.
It wouldn't have mattered.
We are literally almost 10 minutes into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're more enjoyable than the last 30 minutes of the film.
Fuck you both. We're discussing Pray for the Devil this evening.
Yes. Tonight we are discussing it was originally The Devil's Light, then it was Pray for the Devil. It's had its release date shuffled around 4 different times. If that's any indicator, and guys, if you change the title of your movie, then have to bump it back again and again, like you start with a title and a release date, and then you change the release date, then you change the title and the release date and the release date again, everyone knows this sucks. Everyone knows this movie's crap.
All right. Pray for the Devil is a 2022 American supernatural horror film directed by Daniel Stamm. Daniel Stamm, for those of you who don't know, he did 13 Sins, The Last Exorcism, which he's most known for. His directorial debut was A Necessary Death, and then he did 2 short films before that. He's done a couple of television episodes, one for Scream, one for Fear the Walking Dead, one for Them. Nothing of great note here. I
don't know how this guy made a movie worse than The Last Exorcism.
I
actually don't hate The Last Exorcism. I know people dislike the ending, and I understand why. It works for me personally, but
the film stars Jacqueline Byers, Colin Salmon, Christian Navarro, Lisa Palfrey.
No one's coming out of this movie better.
Nicholas Ralph, Virginia Madsen, and the late Ben Cross. This was dedicated to his memory, and Yeah. All right. Came out last week.
So the
And
plot
so-
of this thing.
Well, before you get into
Okay.
the plot, this film does deal with exorcisms, and I did want to give you your
Allegedly.
time here. Allegedly, yeah. I think there were two interesting points that you and I were discussing in our group chat prior to going live tonight, which is one, the actual history of real exorcisms. Two, how they are represented on screen, and two, why there isn't a good representation of exorcisms on screen in all the years we've been doing exorcism movies.
You can count the number of good exorcism movies on one hand.
3 fingers.
I was gonna say if you're gonna go further, I was gonna defy you to name 6.
I was gonna say 3 fingers because I could think of 3.
All right, so what are your 3?
Emily Rose,
All right,
the original Exorcist,
I'm warning you, Mark. Don't do this. You don't want to do this with me.
and I'm trying. I don't know. I mean, the third one. I mean, I'm struggling to find a third one.
All
Like
right,
I said, you could probably get 3 fingers deep. Maybe 2 knuckles.
I just want to give a visual representation. I have no part to play in this conversation. Please continue, Robert.
I am so tempted to inflict upon you in the future a couple of different films by Lars von Trier that will ruin all of these jokes for you. Just ruin.
Challenge accepted, but not tonight.
You don't want. All right.
Moving on.
I'll end that joke for you, just for the record. Completely end it.
Yes, sir.
So, it does somewhat amaze me that when we think of classic films, if we go back to the 70s, or even, again, classics is a loose term here, right? There's a lot of classic films. But if you think about the era in which, the 70s, when The Exorcist came out, if you think of all the other subgenres of films that we got true classics out of that era, whether that's The Godfather or The Deer Hunter or whatever, you can pick your poison.
Deliverance.
Blackula.
2 very different answers there, but fair enough.
Scream, Blackula, Scream, Coffee, Black Mama, White Mama. I'm sorry. We went in a completely different direction. Jackie Brown, Truck Turner, Cornbread, Earl and Me.
Superfly.
Superfly.
Sweetback's Badass Revenge. Dolomites.
Shaft. Return of Shaft.
Shaft goes to Africa.
That would be the title of your sex tape.
Hey now. Please continue.
To make the very obvious joke.
Yeah.
But again, whatever you happen to choose there, I guarantee you in the intervening years between then and now, you have movies that have come out in those genres and subgenres that have either definitively eclipsed or at least in the conversation with greatest in that subgenre since then. Look at The Godfather. We've had gangster movies, if you want to go with that as the distinction for The Godfather. There are gangster movies that are at least in the conversation, if not superior to The Godfather. There are war movies that are in the same conversation, if not outright superior to The Deer Hunter. For some reason, now, if you want to argue that there have been better horror movies than The Exorcist since The Exorcist, I agree. There has not been a better possession/exorcism movie than The Exorcist since The Exorcist, and I'm not sure why no one else can kind of crack the formula here about what makes these stories scary. But for some reason, no one can. And we're left with perpetually more and more derivative crap that leans into occasional body horror, bad jump scares, and more often than not, despite the utter hypocrisy within the sentiment, of very anti-religious stories. And that's the kind of sad history of possession cinema. And it's sad more than anything else. There's no reason we can't have created. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's not this hard.
Yeah, I mean the third, just to throw the third out, I would probably say Devil Inside.
It's a charitable call, but okay.
So why do you think they struggle? First of all, like talk a little bit about, because you mentioned it before, about like real exorcisms and why there's such a difficulty in getting a good picture of a real exorcism on screen.
Well, in the case of pure reality, you have to understand something with what I'm about to say. My particular religious beliefs, and I only bring this up because it's relevant to what I'm about to say. Most real exorcisms aren't that interesting.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
If you forgive the theological aspect of what I'm about to say here. Exorcisms done by the Catholic Church. I'm going to get in trouble with the Catholics for saying this. Okay, if you want to understand the great theological divide between my religious beliefs, I'm LDS, and the Catholics, we are the only two churches that actually claim to carry priesthood authority. Now, my theological belief system obviously dictates that we have it and they don't. If you don't actually have power and authority to act in God's name, then contrary forces are not beholden to you. If you do have power and authority to act in God's name, they have no choice but to concede. Not that complicated.
Okay.
Now, again, some of this is, you're going to get all kinds of different stories from people about this, and this is just my experience, my perspective, and you are welcome to disagree with me. I'm not here to preach. But a real exorcism is not nearly as complicated as the Catholic Church would have you believe.
Okay.
Because they wind up going through a bunch of histrionics. Now, if we look at the purely historical side of things and exorcisms within the Catholic Church, yeah, they're documented. They can be drawn out affairs. They can be pretty brutal. And I don't mean like I don't just mean like, smacking or torture or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I mean just long and grueling and brutal in that sense. And I think the fundamental problem that the vast majority of people trying to tell possession stories run into is most of them don't actually believe. And if you try to approach this kind of story without on some level committing to the notion that good and evil exist in absolutes rather than your moral relativism, then it falls apart. It becomes a bad parable.
Can I suggest that maybe there's an even easier explanation, and that is they are trying to take something that by your own admission is not particularly visually stimulating and make it so because the purpose of this is to entertain. So they're building a scene. I mean, here's the other thing. I don't know how many exorcism movies exist outside of the horror genre either. So when making a horror movie and telling an exorcism story, the exorcism scenes have to be scary. They have
over the top.
Yeah, they have to be visually stimulating in a way that engages the audience. And so I think this is what we were saying with the Dahmer story, where I'm sure things were embellished, but they were embellished for the purposes of making an engaging story and putting something on screen that people would want to watch, not necessarily to upset the survivors of this thing, the relatives and whatnot, or in this case, to be disrespectful to the practice of exorcism or the Catholic Church.
Yeah, again, like this is with the Dahmer thing in particular. Just whenever something like this comes up, I always remember one of the things that Spielberg said when he was making Schindler's List, because he had consultants on there, including some of the people, some of these Schindler Jews, and they were talking with him about some of the set design and some of what had happened, and like this isn't accurate. It was more like, and his response at a certain point became, "I'm not making a documentary."
Right.
Trust me on this.
Yeah.
So when you're adapting that, even if it's a true story, there's going to be stuff like that. I get that. I think there's another, because fundamentally the stories that you deal with when you're dealing with exorcisms, it is, as The Exorcist itself does, it's the clash of good and evil at a very fundamental level. And there's a lot of people, especially a lot of creative types, who don't believe in that. They don't believe in moral absolutes.
Yeah.
They believe they believe in moral relativism. They tend to have postmodernist views of the world, and it doesn't lend itself to this kind of story, because ultimately what you wind up with is something like we get here, which is not about good and evil. It's a bad story about, well, here's how we overcome trauma.
I was going to say, I think there's also like a feminist bent to this.
Oh,
but,
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think if you were to really nail down, if you had to pick a theme, and you can't say exorcisms or religion, I think this is mostly about feminism. This is mostly about an area of professionalism, an area of a profession that has been denied women, and a woman overcoming those boundaries and those barriers and able to ascend to that position. And we can kind of get into why this movie doesn't do a very good job with that. And it falls into a lot of modern traps with telling the story of a woman that overcomes and succeeds where only men have succeeded. But just if you could wrap up your point about like why there's difficulties with exorcisms on screen, and then we can move into the plot.
I think the last thing that becomes difficult, and this movie this is one of those things that shouldn't be difficult about it, but atmosphere is very important. And this movie has no atmosphere. It has a billion jump scares rather than actually like building tension. You need to be able to build tension, because these stories, more than most, you need to build. There needs to be escalating tension rather than, again, jump scares in the traditional sense. The other problem, is character. Like a giant part of the reason The Exorcist works is because you don't want to see that poor sweet girl put through that. Like, you're worried about her.
Right.
You care about the priest's journey to rediscovering his faith as he's in the midst of a crisis of faith while going through this.
Right.
Like, the characters matter more than they always should, but there's no spectacle attached to these to kind of compensate. And consequently, when your characters are flat, everything falls really flat.
All right. So it sounds like we're moving away from sort of the histories of exorcism and then the failure of Hollywood to capture the magic of such. So let's get into the plot.
Well, and just the last bit on the history of it, it is kind of a relatively new phenomenon. Like, you don't see much discussion of exorcisms prior to The Exorcist, the novel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they exist, but they're kind of just, a weird footnote. It's a little bit like how, certain early zombie archetypes made people more like, people knew that, voodoo, that's a weird religion. And then The Rainbow and the Serpent comes out. I believe that was what it was. I believe that was the name of the book. And suddenly, hey, zombies. Because originally zombies are voodoo, come from the voodoo witch doctors who were able to create zombies.
It is an interesting phenomenon in culture that, things that are a relatively small part of a bigger thing, and then somebody gloms onto it, makes a movie about it, and it becomes ingrained in the culture to the point where, like you just brought up zombies, you would have to have done some research and really read into these things to know that that's where it came from, because we're still obsessing over zombies to this day. And same thing with exorcisms here. People keep taking a crack at this, and it's ingrained now into the cultural fabric. But from what you're saying, it's not even that big of a deal in the church in which it's done.
Not really. You get a better, if you're interested in something a bit more, I hate to say true to life, because that's really not the way to consider this, but if you're interested in a take on this that's again, slightly more grounded in reality when it comes to procedures and whatnot, the television show Evil, which I go back and forth on that, but it deals with this in some respects. And my issues with that show aside, because it takes an episodic approach to kind of investigating occult and supernatural stuff, it doesn't try to make everything about just the exorcism, and that helps a lot. And that, at least for that one, it does help a lot.
And
I want to come back to the point where we do the craft
quick
review about sometimes it's not about the Ghostbusters proton pack, it's about the people. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Go ahead, Jason.
I just want to say, if you watch Supernatural, that's a good thing for demon and demon possessions as well. How to get rid of them. Just want to throw that out there. But my problem with this, real quick, is I think that a lot of the movies, especially here in the latter part of the 2000s, is a society-based thing. They don't want to be offensive to any one particular group, so they try to tiptoe around it rather than shine an actual light on the practice and stuff. So they want to kind of want to shine the positive light rather than the fear and the actual procedures. They want to dramatize it to the point where they want to be PC, not offensive, but try to tiptoe that line of embellishing, but not so much to be offensive.
All right, get into the plot, Robert.
So we primarily follow a nun in training. I forget exactly, but
No, she's just a nun.
Yeah,
she's a nun. The training is when they start teaching her something about exorcisms, and then she sort of takes the ball and runs with it.
Well, I'm aware of that, but okay, I forget. I just forget whether or not she was actually like a full nun, because if she was, there's issues here to be had with
a lot.
Like if I was Catholic, I'd be mildly offended by the portrayal of nuns, just because like some of the stuff she does, like this is not what nuns.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's nude nuns with big guns. There's this. I mean, pick your fight.
Moving on.
Any chance I can to put a nude nuns with big guns reference into a podcast, I'm taking it.
It's a terrible movie. Like that's not even.
That is not even the most. That is the most uncomfortable rape scene I've ever seen in any movie, and boy, have I seen a lot of rape scenes.
My god!
Only because it's so badly acted.
The whole is just
look. Let's keep it going. It's bad when I'm the one that's putting this back on track.
Check out Screen Rant's top 10 rape scenes in the history of cinema. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god!
I would bet you that exists.
Go ahead, Robert.
If not, Mark is now going to assemble said list and publish it for all of your consumption.
If I can get it on Screen Rant, absolutely.
You want to pretend you could get that published in the New York Times these days.
New York Times, former publication.
A former newspaper, yeah. So we follow a nun.
I'm a tumor.
Sister Anne, as we open with a flashback to her as a child when she was abused by her mentally ill mother, who she's convinced was possessed. As she talks with a psychiatrist or psychologist, it's never made clear which one. While she has been currently assigned to a facility in Boston that deals with alleged cases of possession, where they bring people in, they screen them medically, they screen them psychologically to try and determine if it's appropriate to proceed with exorcism rites, or if these are just mentally ill people who need proper medication. Important distinction. As Anne is kind of going about her duties, she likes sneaking into lectures where she shouldn't be because she's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. And is researching, and things take a turn the first time she is kind of attacked by one of the patients, who just dances with her with the worst CGI tongue hanging out as we get strobe light effects, and it's just not a good scene. She has history with a particular demonic entity that is allegedly possessing a 10-year-old girl. So they begin looking into this. She is granted extra privileges because of this connection. She witnesses an attempted exorcism of the little girl. It doesn't actually go that well, but she kind of participates and helps. It kind of makes things easier, but then you have to understand, Mark, then the man decides to keep her down.
Goddamn right.
She is reminded of her duties and her place, and then her fellow upstart priest says, another priest there goes, we can prove that you're right about this, that the victims are important more so than the demons. Don't you understand our crappy allegory? I can make it clearer because my sister, don't you understand? She was raped and then got pregnant because of it, and then lost the child, and now she's been possessed. And if we can help her heal from these wounds, it will prove to them that your theories are correct, and you'll be vindicated. Vindicated, Mark. You will stand atop the corpse of the patriarchy. So they go try to perform an unauthorized exorcism, and it doesn't go that well, but nothing truly bad happens, and she then talks with this priest and reveals that during a drunken escapade when she was 15, she had sex and got pregnant and gave the child up for adoption. And if you can't see where the setup and payoff freshman level writing is going here, I don't know what to tell you. You must be a child. They go back feeling that they have accomplished their mission, only to discover that no, the priest's sister killed herself not too long after that because the exorcism was improperly performed, don't you understand? The demon retreated, but was not expelled. And then rather than deal with any further complications, like, you know what? Let's just end it. Sister Anne is troubled by this and decides, you know what? This is not the place for me. I wish to go back to my gardening at the other convent. And everyone goes, I think that would be for the best. And you can just tell there was a line where somebody in that room said, and make me a sandwich before you go, that was cut. So she returns to the convent only to be informed later that this 10-year-old girl who they thought was, better is now much worse and killed people. The most interesting part of this movie potentially happened off screen. Killed people in an ambulance ride and has invited Sister Anne back for a final confrontation because this 10-year-old girl, Natalie, I believe, is actually the daughter that she had given up after being, and now and this is all about her, don't you understand, Mark? Do you understand? It's all about her. So she goes back, and a couple of more priests die, but no one cares because at least one of them was a white guy. And there's a confrontation with the demon, and she voluntarily accepts possession to save her daughter. Then, after some bad CGI, she throws herself into a baptismal font of holy water. And when submerged, she hears the voice of her mother and all strong, independent women from beyond the grave, speaking to her, telling her to let go of her pain, let go of the trauma.
I believe they were saying, I am the Force, or I am the Force. I am the Force.
No, it's Captain Marvel joined the fight. And
I believe at one point someone said, one point somebody said, I am Spartacus.
And then She-Hulk tears through the screen to demand a different ending.
Damn it, I messed up the joke. It's I am all the Jedi.
You did. That's okay. No one. Right. That movie sucks. No one cares.
True.
Nobody's seen it, so
sure.
We've all blocked it from our collective memory, and we're all better off.
Yeah.
She releases her trauma. The holy water boils. She's pulled out. She's fine. The 10-year-old girl goes back with her adopted family and returns.
Hey, listen, not for nothing, but there's a lifestyle party house in here in Central Florida where you can get boiled in holy water all you want, and I like to do it on a Saturday night. I like to go to this party house. I like to boil myself in the holy water.
That doesn't surprise me that that's probably what you actually do on a Saturday night. It would not surprise me if
me and other pictures. Naked lifestyle people like to boil ourselves in holy water and get clean.
Okay, with your cauliflower. Okay,
my pickle.
There is nothing worse than the smell of boiling cauliflower.
Oh my god!
Nothing worse than this. Have you ever smelled cooking cauliflower?
I'm really sad that I interrupted your brilliant plot synopsis for my stupid joke, only for it to continue to go in that direction.
You started us down this course when we
I did.
Show.
So I hoisted by my own petard.
Is it with your own petard? I asked because I genuinely can't remember if it's with or by.
Hoisted by my own petard.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Picard, so
You're better off.
Moving on.
Oh my God, guys.
So now that this 10-year-old girl has been saved,
This is like
and-
2015 level of not on point, by the way. We've receded back to 2015. We were tight there for a while, man. We knew how to do a review. We had our segments planned out. We had a flowing conversation. We are right back into me and Robert. My wife's asleep. My kids are babies, possibly falling off a couch, and we're just fucking rambling.
Yep.
And
So,
I'm here for it.
now that our brave heroine has accepted that she is in fact the Force, and has gotten over her trauma and self-actualized to the point where now everyone is forced to acknowledge her presence and that she is woman, hear her roar. They give her a study fellowship at the Vatican to go study exorcisms, and she is warned by the nice priest to be careful, because now that she knows the devil knows her. And then as she is leaving in a taxi to go get on the jet plane, she's accosted by a couple of possessed people, and we smash cut to black.
On a jet plane.
Don't know when I'll be back again.
Leaving.
On a jet plane. We're gonna do it in the round, or are we gonna like sync up? What are we doing here?
Oh, this is who you got to save the planet.
Kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait
I
for me.
almost never get to reference that movie in any sort of like organic context. I feel kind of good about that.
Hold me, Jason, like you'll never let me go.
Always more.
Because Robert's leaving
I really
on a
want to.
jet plane. We don't know when he'll be back again. Leaving. All right. Who are you?
Well, that's
Jason
it.
Teasley.
Okay.
What do you think of this shit movie?
I was intrigued for 70 minutes. Then it cratered for me. I thought I had really high hopes when I seen the trailer and everything. So I was really excited because it looked like they had maybe broke the mold of making a good exorcism movie. Since, like I said, the previously mentioned Emily Rose, that was probably the last one that I seen worth a damn. And then I started watching this, and it was like me and 3 other people. 2 of those people got up and left. I'm pretty sure to ask for a refund. And it went off the rails as bad as this podcast has. But I think they missed a lot of the tone that they could have went with. And like Robert was saying earlier, it had a lot of jump scares. With the exorcism movies, you don't want to have like a plethora of jump scares. You want to build that tension to a really big reveal and a jump scare, not have rapid fire jump scares, because it takes a lot of the tone and ambience out of the movie, just like it did with this.
Okay. I think for me, this is gonna be a really short craft review.
Yeah.
The movie is kind of bland.
stinks.
The movie is just very bland. There's a lot. See, my problem is, and I'll go back to the reference I made to Ghostbusters 2016. They made that movie, and it was about 2 things. It was about the equipment, and it was about girls get it done. And I feel like for this movie, this was about girls get it done and exorcisms. This wasn't really about much of anything else. It was, well, we want to do exorcisms. Exorcisms are cool, so we'll have a few in the movie. And it's one of the things I kind of hate about modern film right now is the over reliance on an action sequence where everything gets drawn out. There are no obvious conclusions to anything. So there's a couple of the the one at the very end where Jacqueline Byers gets possessed so that she can draw the demon out of the child. It goes on forever.
Really,
and it's funny. But this whole movie clocks in at, oh my god, I didn't even get the
92?
time.
It's like 1:30, an hour and 32, hour and 33.
Yeah, it's like super short. But
it does not feel that way.
And so much of it is just them drawing out the exorcism scenes. The one in the bedroom, which is probably the high point of the movie, easily the best scene in the movie in terms of like action, goes on forever. And it's and it's so funny because like the poster is of the hair going into the mouth. You can tell that this movie started with that idea. They had this idea of the demon possessing this girl and the hair going into the mouth, and kind of wrote a movie from that, like out of that sequence. Because everything else about this movie is everything leading up to that, and everything that follows is, well, we don't have a conclusion. Like, so we need to write one. We need to figure it out. There's, I think, an interesting idea here about a woman's place in the Catholic Church. This movie's too stupid to make that. This movie's too stupid to have that conversation. It's kind of like the first year college freshman who's yelling and screaming in class about this or that thing that they believe in. And it's like, okay, you're just yelling at this point. You're not really making any sense.
Who objects to the professor using gendered language when addressing the group?
Yeah, I wasn't even going to get that specific with it, but basically
I heard someone do that. Like, not a joke. Like I thought it was satire. I genuinely thought this clip that I saw was like, this is a joke, right? Like, somebody's poking fun at these people. No. I went to school with them. I remember I have a master's degree in social work. So quite a lot of that. I imagine, you know a lot of the crazies.
Yeah, I went to school in the early I went to grad school in the early 2000s. My point
it wasn't that bad, but it was.
It was definitely, there was a canary in the coal mine at the time. My point is, this movie is not smart enough to have a deep and meaningful conversation about women in the Catholic Church and what their position is, and are some of there's a debate to be had about, are some of the ways in which women are treated in the Catholic Church outdated. I think it's a great conversation to have. This movie isn't trying to have that conversation. It's just yelling and screaming, why don't we let women do exorcisms? Why don't we let them do more? And then it's overly reliant on said exorcisms in the movie to engage the audience. But outside of the one scene with the girl, which also goes too long, but at least looks the coolest, there's nothing really engaging about them. Like, that final scene is just shot in green and blacks. Like, the color palette looks like a fucking death metal album. There's
not a good one.
No, it's really washed out. It's hard to follow at times because of it. And then, as far as the acting goes, I mean, Ben Cross, God rest his soul, is a game actor. I don't know what the hell else Jacqueline Byers has been in.
Give it a look.
Yeah, I'm looking now. Oh, great, perfect. Okay, ready? 2019. She plays Brittany in You Are Here. She's Riley Seabrook in Bad Samaritan. Kara Cook in Ordinary Days. Katie in Full Out, and her first feature film was something called Blizzard, where she's the skating girl. On television, she was in one episode of Digstown. She's on the show Salvation. She's in 7 episodes of Roadies. She's in 1 episode of Timeless, Ascension, and The Strain. 1 episode.
Okay, so God bless her. She's trying. She's trying to break type.
Yeah.
So this is a Lionsgate film, and it's only a matter of time before Lionsgate gets bought, because they can't, like, this clearly was, a small budget film that they were hoping was going to hit big, like a lot of horror does. You make it for a dime, it sells for $100, you've made a ridiculous profit. It's the Blair Witch
model.
equation. Yeah. And so they have almost a no-name actress. They have a director with a limited resume. They have one big name actor in Ben Cross, because nobody knows who the rest of these people are except for maybe Virginia Madsen. And they're hoping that this exorcism movie that they put out around Halloween, because it came out Halloween weekend, draws enough of a crowd. This thing bombed, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. But
the shock of
no one. My point being, in terms of craft, why I brought all that up is although Ben Cross is trying, nobody's really strong enough or gives an engaging enough performance to elevate it. The script itself is as I've said,
it's so dumb.
Leaves a lot to be desired. And then, so all that you've got left are the visuals, and the visuals are not particularly engaging either, Robert.
Nope. Look, again, the this
Also, this is poorly paced. Hang on. This was poorly. I fell asleep in the first act. I had really woke. I was with my friend, and she was, and I nodded off because I was up late the night before, and I woke up and I looked at her. I'm like, "Fuck, what I missed?" She was like, "Absolutely nothing. You've been out for 20 minutes." I woke up in Act 2, and she was like, "You're good. You missed nothing."
Yeah, the pacing is not great. If you want to tell a story about like atavistic horror, you can. This ain't it. If you want to tell a story about again like the nature of evil and man's relationship to it, you can. This ain't it. Like you mentioned, if you want to talk about what is a woman's place in the Catholic Church, there's a discussion to be had in there somewhere, probably. This ain't it. You want something that's, atmospherically tense, you can do that. This ain't it. You want something that actually kind of sticks with you after you leave the theater. This ain't it. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to this movie. It feels like a freshman writing project.
I don't know why they didn't shop this to a streamer.
Yeah.
There is real quickly, and I probably should have saved this for the money, but we'll throw it into the crowd. There's an equation that's kind of like what they talk about in Fight Club, where if the amount that you'll pay out in lawsuits and settlements is less than a recall and fixing of the car, they'll just not fix the car and settle up when they need to after enough people have died. There's something very similar with film right now where they have to do an equation to figure out, do we take Sony goes through a lot of this because they don't have a dedicated streamer like Universal has Peacock, Warner Brothers has HBO Max currently, and then Disney has Disney Plus. Sony doesn't have a dedicated streamer, so they tend to sell a lot of stuff to Netflix or whoever. But there's, as I said, there's an equation of, do we take an upfront fee for this product that we have, this film, or do we put it in theaters and take the chance that it might blow up and make money? Lionsgate this was made. I can't find the budget anywhere, but I guarantee you this thing was not made from fucking Marvel money. This thing was probably not made for very much at all, and it's only made about $7 million, which again we'll talk about in a minute. But they've had to have done the calculus of, well, this thing will probably do okay. We made it for a small enough amount of money that it'll hit big around. It'll hit big, and we don't want to take upfront money from, say, just as an example, from say Netflix or Amazon, because this might make more money if we just release it in theaters, because there's a lot of that going on right now. The pattern, this pendulum started swinging the other way of, hey, there's people are going back to the theaters. There's money to be had. Don't settle for the upfront fee that streamers will give you. Take your chances in the theaters. They threw the dice on this one and fucking came up craps.
I imagine the high end of this thing's budget was $25 million, right? Like
this was Velocipaster budget.
It's not quite that bad, dude.
Again, like the highest end this thing would have been was less than 30, right? You can agree on that. Less than 30 million for this thing.
I feel 30's genuine.
Again, less than 30.
Yeah, generous.
So I imagine somewhere between 10 and 30. Like, again, there's a lot of room there, but somewhere in that range is probably the budget for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to need to make 20 to 60. And I'm with you. I imagine there was a thought like, okay, we can do 70 million. Yeah, we can. And whoever made that call should be fired. That was a bad call. And it should have been readily apparent what a bad call that was going to be.
Yeah.
This thing should have been sold to, again, like you said, to a streaming service. Again, the script is not good. It's freshman level writing. It's very obvious setup and payoff, and they don't not even in an interesting way. I don't mind being able to see the setup and then intuit the payoff. That's something we as audience members are conditioned to do, so we should be able to do it. When it's this obvious and it carries this little consequence and effect, it's not good. It's not good. when a lot of your scares are somewhat predicated on either cheap jump scares, which you get a lot of, or hey, remember that thing where the person's mouth opens wider than it should? Isn't that still scary? No, it's not. It's just not. Sorry. Hey, how about this scene where someone, folds themselves in half backwards and then slowly comes up? That's scary, right? No, it's not. Not when it's that obviously CGI'd. Sorry, it's not. Deal with it. Well, what about our underlying message? Our underlying premise and message, Mark, about overcoming trauma and you being good enough. And all you have to do is let go of all the bad things that have happened to you. Won't that resonate with people? No. No, it won't. Like, everything about this movie is a miss. I can't praise the acting. It's all acceptable, but it's like barely, passingly acceptable. I can't praise the score. It's not a good score. I can't praise the cinematography. I can't praise anything about this movie. I can't find one genuinely good thing about it to say. And that almost deserves recognition for how hard it is to do that. Like, imagine the levels of failure where everything about your movie sucks. It's just not easy to do. So I give you credit for that, I suppose. But other than that, you got nothing.
So I found the budget. It's 20 to 30 crore. CRORE.
See.
What's the okay, so what country is that? What's the currency of that?
Okay. I believe it's Indian.
CO.
Okay,
Indian.
so
I don't think they use that.
Okay, a crore denotes 10 million and is equal to 100 lock in the Indian numbering system.
Okay.
So 20 to 30 crore.
Yeah, so
That's
well, if all you're
different.
if all you're looking at is the word crore, then that would be 20 to 30 million.
Okay.
If you
That's about what you guessed, isn't it? It was about 20 to 30 million for this thing?
I said 30 would be the high end.
Yeah. All right. So between 20 and 30. Let's just go with that.
20.6.
There you go.
It's 20.6.
Okay.
I've done the math.
Cool.
So again, about kind of where we landed at
Right.
there. Yeah.
It's because I'm on a fucking Hindu site. That's why.
That would explain it.
Mm-hmm.
The Hindustan Times over there.
Close. All right. So again, about 20 to 30 million for this thing, and it's fucking made 7. Yikes.
Yeah.
A bridge box office.
It's not going to do well, and I don't like watching bad movies. I don't like saying bad things about movies, but again, I can't come up with anything good to say about this one. Like,
all right, so
genuinely.
then let's not beat this to death. Let's move on. We've already started talking about it. Let's go ahead and move on to the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
All right. Well, we've just talked about it. We'll go with the high end of 30 million. It's made 10 million. And it's and while there's no competition this particular week, a lot of stuff that's out that's worth watching is all going to be on streaming. I think I want to say maybe like the Weird Al movie on like the Roku channel is like one of the more popular things that's out this weekend.
Oh, is that is that the Weird Al biopic starring Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah, that's the one that's on the Roku channel.
Nice.
Yeah, like not a whole. So this will be like the third week. I think Black Adam is probably number 1. Anyway, it ain't gonna be Pray for the Devil.
It might, but boy, did that thing crash hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I might end up losing that bet with Bailey. I'm now adjusting my predictions to say that it's probably not gonna. It'll probably die in the 500 millions, and I'm gonna have to do whatever stupid thing he wants me to do. It's really upsetting.
That's what happens. This is what happens when you bet optimistically, Mark.
All right, Black Adam retained its number 1 spot in the box office for a second week in a row. Ticket to Paradise maintained its second spot, and Pray for the Devil. I mean, debuted at number 3. I mean, we're like it's not doing well critically. We didn't like it, budget wise, it didn't do well. Gross, and then it's not even the number one movie of its initial weekend. It's just this thing could not buy a win.
Whatever streaming service does wind up acquiring this, they're not going to pay as much as they would have before it got released. So you're losing this one. You're losing it pretty bad.
You might get like a bag of chips and a warm flat soda.
Exactly. Smile dropped from 3 to 4. Halloween Ends 4 to 5. Till, which got released in a bunch more theaters, jumped from 13 to 6. Lyle Crocodile fell from 5 to 7. Terrifier 2, which actually made was actually really made for a shoestring budget and actually made money, jumped from 7 to 8. The Woman King. Go ahead, Robert. I know you want to.
Which is a terrible piece of ahistorical nonsense.
Fell from 6 to 8. Tar jumped from 12 to 10. The Coldplay movie debuted at 11.
You know what? I want to kick everyone involved in the release of that really hard in the groin. Like Coldplay sucks. Coldplay sucks.
Oh, don't let Amber hear you say it. That's her favorite.
I don't care. Coldplay sucks.
Okay. Call Jane.
Remember when they did the Super Bowl halftime show and everyone universally dumped on it?
I try not to. Armageddon Time, which is in limited release, debuted at 24. Please, Baby Please, at number 30. The Runner at 36. And that's it. All right. Worldwide. Let's see where we are.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. Top Gun, Jurassic World, Doctor Strange, Minions, The Batman, Thor, Watergate Bridge, Fantastic Beasts, Sonic, Uncharted. Elvis has climbed to number 11 with 286, and Black Adam sitting comfortably at number 12 at 252 million.
That thing might struggle to hit 500 million. Just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, well, right now it needs to get more than 400 million to even get in the top 10. Here are all the movies currently.
It'll beat Elvis.
Maybe.
Here are all the movies currently doing better than Morbius. I'm really going to be sad next year when I have to retire that joke.
You don't have to retire. Just remember how much Morbius made, and then we can still make jokes about things doing better.
I actually watched that the other day.
I feel like when we get to 2023, I need to quit making fun of Morbius. It got its year's worth of jokes out of me.
Okay, so give it a full 12 months, not just the year of 2022.
Fine.
Just because it'll make you happy to continue doing it.
The Bad Guys, Bullet Train, Lightyear, Too Cool to Kill, Nice View, DC League of Super Pets, The Lost City, Smile, Nope, all doing better than Morbius. Here's the movies that couldn't even beat Morbius. The Black Phone, Scream, Death on the Nile, with a Crawdad Sing, One Piece, Ticket to Paradise, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Roundup. All right.
Some of those I actually liked.
So this
Some of them
weekend,
are perfectly fine films.
Yeah.
This weekend coming up, Armageddon Time goes into wide release. One Piece, Red will be in limited release, and then we've got some other limited films here, and that's about it. So yeah, not a whole. As we said when we talked about Black Adam, not a lot of competition. Black Adam pretty much had 3 weeks to make all the money it was going to make before its next major competitor, which is on November 11th, and it's Wakanda Forever. So that's where we are right now.
2 hour and 40-minute runtime for that piece of crap.
On November 18th, we've got the menu is only going to be in limited release. Yikes. We've got in wide release 13 Lives. We've got the menu. I hope we're able to all see
if
the
you
menu
haven't,
because
for the record, if you haven't seen 13 Lives, I believe it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Really good.
Right now we have the menu scheduled, but I'm hoping that doesn't screw Robert and he's actually able to find it somewhere because that's what because if I didn't realize it was going to be in limited release.
I'll have a look around again. I will drive. I'm not going. What's my limit on this? My limit is 20 minutes any direction.
Okay.
Hang on. The reason that's my limit is because of where I'm located geographically. If I have to go further than that, it's 40 minutes minimum.
All right, well, here's the deal. If you can't, right now, what do I have on the 18th? Yeah, right now, for that weekend, the only other thing that's in wide release is She Said, which I had on there originally, but I got overruled, and Alexa said she wanted to do the menu, and I figured you'd prefer the menu than to She Said. But we're going back to She Said if we can't all see the menu in time.
Well,
I'll see what I can do about finding it.
I might not be able to find it.
My rule is I'm not driving to Salt Lake City. I'm about an hour away from Salt Lake City. My problem is if it's not within my 20-minute sphere, I've got to go to Salt Lake, and that's another 20-minute minimum drive to get to a location that would theoretically have it. And
Gotcha.
I'm not driving 100 miles for this.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then we're gonna do She Said if that's the case. Do we just need to all communicate with each other? Or we're not doing a show that week. I don't know what to tell you.
You are welcome to talk about She Said.
The Thanksgiving release from Disney is Strange World, which Chris Bailey has said will probably bomb.
Bomb will be a bit strong, but it's going to underperform, I think.
Yeah. Then we're into December. We got Violent Night, which we'll be reviewing, and that's December 2nd.
I saw the trailer for that in front of this movie tonight.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Did anybody else have like a very weird plethora of trailers watching Pray for the Devil? Because like I had Violent Night, a Tom Hanks comedy, and then and a cartoon. And I was really, really concerned because the
am I in the right movie?
Yeah, well, yeah, because the last one, because I used to be a theater projectionist, and the attached trailer is usually something, in the same genre, in the same vein. I had an animated movie right before this. I was concerned. I went out and checked the placard to make sure that I was in the right movie, because it went Violent Night, A Man Named Otto, and an animated movie, and I was really concerned.
I have a backup plan. We don't have to do She Said. We can move something around. If we can't all get to the menu, we'll do the Netflix movie with Jason Momoa, Slumberland, that's based on the comic book.
Okay.
Comic strip, I should say. Little Nemo. All right. So the backup.
How did it take us this long to get another Little Nemo movie?
No, not that Little Nemo. Little Nemo in Slumberland.
That's what I meant.
The Nintendo game.
Okay.
No, there's an animated movie based on Nemo and Slumberland. That
Gotcha.
It was
80s something, I want to say 80s or 90s.
All right. So are we in agreement there? If we can't all get to the menu, then I'll bump Slumberland into its place.
89, Robert.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're good there.
I knew there was one because I've seen that movie. I actually like it.
And it's labeled racist.
Great.
All
right, folks. Here we go with a very abbreviated.
We got 15 minutes. We got 15 minutes. We
have 10. It's going to take us 5 minutes just to do plugs and jerking each other off.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Alrighty. Well,
you know what we need to do for Mark? I think I figured out what we need to do for Mark.
What do you need to do for Mark?
We need to find like your favorite porn stars OnlyFans, how much that particular group charges to do dick rates, and fund yours.
Perfect.
It's like
I would
$5.
submit to that.
Not that I would know. Not that I would know. It's only like $5.
I mean, does he have to be a porn star? Can it just be an OnlyFans girl I happen to like?
I mean,
no. This has to be someone with name recognition.
Do we need credibility? Well, I mean, some of these OnlyFans people are pretty recognizable, at least with their face down, ass up.
Sure. Pray for the Devil has a 21% tomato meter rating and a 67% audience score.
I am shocked at the audience score being that high.
So am I. And boy, is this... I know, like, look, we kind of have different takes depending on how these line up. When it's high critics and low audience, it's like, look, it was made for the hoitiest of the toity. When it's, everyone hates it, it's like, oh, see, they really struck out. When it's like this, my inclination to go, this is why we can't have nice things. Because
this going to be one of the times we actually agree with the critics?
More often, yeah, probably. Look, here's my hunch about the audience reaction to this. One, a lot of them are like, oh, the jump scares were effective. And two, a lot of them are just giving it a pass on a pass-fail grade. Mm-hmm. But it's not a high pass.
All right, let's see. Let's find a good one here. A lot of splats. Thomas Ernst of Original Sin with a C. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Original Sin? Cinema? Do you get it?
Oh God, move on.
Pray for the Devil's tactics might be cheap, but they worked on me.
That just
What?
makes you cheap, buddy.
You're a fucking idiot that
Yeah.
probably licks windows. So
Robert Winfree's favorite.
I hadn't heard window liquor as an insult in a long time. Thank you for that.
Robert
No
Winfree's
problem.
favorite entertainment periodical, Variety, of which Dennis Harvey writes, top critic.
Okay, that is not my favorite anything. For the record, would not even use it as toilet paper.
Even if it falls short of being particularly memorable or scary, this is a decently entertaining possession potboiler.
Okay, so if it falls short of being especially memorable or especially scary, the two things that it's supposed to be doing, you're still giving it a pass.
Oh my
Why?
Oh my God. I just read ahead and I think I got an aneurysm.
Hope Madden of Mad Wolf with
Yeah,
2D.
here we go.
But he knows, Robert Winfree, that nothing takes down a Catholic girl faster than a lifetime of guilt and shame.
It's an unbearably cheap shot. Also, can we just acknowledge for 1 second here that the actress in question is like maybe 30?
I mean,
maybe.
she's kind of hot, but I mean,
This is only a comment on life experience relative to what they're trying to say about the character. Like,
I mean,
she's a young woman. You know, she's not old. She's not even middle-aged by any reasonable metric.
no.
All right.
I mean,
This movie was not even screened for critics, is kind of the vibe I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Lionsgate, if you go back through their history, they've put out some pretty decent films. This
They
one,
put out
like,
some very good movies.
this one feels like they left the interns in control and everyone just fucking, like, went and played golf. They're like at this point, like, I feel, if I did some research, I feel like they're trying to figure out how to get bought at this point. And, like, it's kind of like when my cousin was the last guy working at his firm. Like, he still had to do IT, but everybody else had gone, and so he would just walk into an empty office every day and, like, protect the computers. I feel like that's what's happened to Lionsgate. They're just like, we're just killing time until either Amazon or Netflix
hang on, for the
buys
record,
us.
that's Sony. Sony's the one actively doing that. Lionsgate, I think it's more likely that Lionsgate was like, okay, it's what's a good reference here for this? It's Big Wheel of Cheese Day, so interns, pick something.
I think Lionsgate is still trying to figure out how they're going to put out another Saw movie.
They are next year.
I know.
That and they're going to start desperately buying up all the young adult novels and trying to recreate the Hunger Games.
Also
They
getting a sequel next year.
You know what? I almost hesitate to put this out into the ether. But why is there not a prequel to the Hunger Games?
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. The
There
Battle
is.
of Songbird and
There's-
Snakes.
There's,
That might be what that is. I don't know.
that's the prequel.
Okay,
Okay.
well, that's coming out next year. It's on the schedule.
Yeah.
It
All right,
took them a
folks.
real long time to get to the very obvious thing that everyone else is already doing.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that is our belabored review. I was like, we're done in 90 minutes. We're just over an hour. So, yeah.
No, we've got 9
Jason,
minutes to
thank you for
shoot the shit.
Nope, we don't. Thank you for joining us here on our review of Pray for the Devil, or one of our shorter reviews of late. I'm proud of us. Jason Teasley, go
Are
ahead
you?
and plug the Mosaic East
You
Coast.
proud of us in this show?
You know, if you took the amount of time spent talking about the movie and weighed it up against the history of exorcisms, gross sex jokes, and just other oddities, I honestly think we spent the least amount of time talking about this movie than anything else we've ever done.
In all probability, you are correct.
Jason, plug your
So-
football podcast.
Okay, hold on. So you can find me. I'm trying to drag this out 8 minutes. Over on Mosaic Media MC on all platforms, such
Jason-
as
Jason's
TikTok.
talking like those recordings.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Jason, you're talking
such
like
as
old 1-900 number.
such as
There's
TikTok,
So, Loki.
such as TikTok, Instagram.
Keep fucking with me. I can
I'm
fuck
trying to
back.
get my plugs in, but you're just dragging it out.
At this
You
point,
keep-
Mark,
you keep
you're
it
the
up.
one perpetuating it.
Yeah, you keep it up. I'm gonna go Jesse Starcher level of fucking plugs, and we'll be here well past 11 o'clock. But you can find me on Mosaic Media MC, TikTok, Instagram, all of your favorite podcasting things, platforms. That's the word I was looking for. Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can see my handle there, Mosaic East Coast. And I will pass it over back to Mark to annoy me with more things in. So, Robert, you have 7 minutes
No, he doesn't.
to pull this
Um,
out as long as possible. I want to say hi to my family, my friends.
Pimp the after party. Pimp the after party.
Okay, that's enough of you.
And all the people that helped me get here.
You gonna behave? You gonna be good?
And I like to thank God.
Oh,
That's enough of that.
okay, hold on. Jason, keep talking uninterrupted. He's going to bring you back in. I just want the speech to keep going.
And you know, I like to thank Melissa for letting Mark have me on the show. My wife Amber for allowing me to be on my show.
It was all me, James. It's always been me.
You know, I can
Author
unmute this and
of all
speak
your
over
pain.
whatever you're playing. I'd like to thank the Academy for the awards that they've bestowed upon me.
And now I'm up at News Flash.
I'd like to thank Alexis for joining us on a podcast previously where we reviewed Netflix. Being the true friend that he is and being the best Roddy Piper impersonation. Hello to Jesse Starcher.
I can't with you anymore. I'm done. So anyway, tomorrow we've got Ronnie Adams will be on to do a Long Road to Ruin for the Clerks trilogy. Clerks 3 was just in theaters. Actually went to a Q&A. They're touring that around the country. Ronnie did the Q&A last night, I believe. So we're going to talk Clerks 1, 2, and 3 tomorrow night. On Thursday, it's a double shot. I'll have a friend back on who hasn't been on in years. We did the Cooked series by Michael Pollan from Netflix. She's going to be on to another Michael Pollan series where he's discussing psychedelics in mental health treatment called How to Change Your Mind. And then it is the 34th anniversary of the movie They Live. Pat and I planned this a year ago, so we're going to talk about it Thursday night.
Great film. Maybe
yes.
John Carpenter's best.
This weekend, as we prepare for the release of Black Panther, is a re-airing of our Avengers Age of Ultron review. Jesse Starcher has Rise of the Black Panther on Sunday. And then Monday night, Alexis Hano will be doing a review of House of the Dragon, which is getting rave reviews. And then a week from tonight, we are taking a break from doing movies, and we will be doing live election coverage. We haven't done that in a very long time.
2 years.
Yeah, I wasn't on the one 2 years ago because my jaw was in too much pain and I couldn't get StreamYard. Not sure.
Yeah,
we could work.
Yeah, that was an awkward one that didn't quite
Yeah.
work. So yeah, Andrew and I did that 2 years ago.
But you and I, the last time you and I did one was the
2020.
the 2020 election. And then I think we did.
No, sorry. 2020
2016.
was 16 because we didn't do 18, but yeah, 16.
Yeah, we did the one where Trump won. And
we did the one where we were willing to call the election like an hour before anyone else actually had the balls to do
and
so.
they like Wolf Blitzer was like screaming at people, well, we're not other networks, and like wouldn't call anything.
We
That
won't.
was so good.
I don't want to. You could see the collective. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Yeah. When that we were live calling the Trump election, and while we didn't really have a dog in the hunt, we were having a fun time watching the rest of the fucking medium have a meltdown about it.
That was the night when you could just see it all. You could see all of them. Like
Yeah.
they all just flagrantly told on themselves.
Yeah,
It was
pretty bad.
hilarious.
All right, and then the aforementioned Jason Teasley, currently giving his Oscar speech. He and I will be doing Death Proof, Hobo with a Shotgun, and Planet Terror as a triple feature. And then Alexis Hannah will be doing another TV party, this time for Cabinet of Curiosities. So
I'm
that
very much
is
enjoying that show so far.
that is everything between tomorrow and next Thursday. Go ahead, Robert. Take me home, baby doll.
Well, I can drop you on a corner. That's as far as I'm willing to go. You can find me covering professional wrestling a few nights a week over at 411mania.com. This, I actually did, I got roped into covering WWE Monday Night Raw on Halloween evening because I have no life. Seriously, I answered the door in like my regular clothes, and when anyone over the age of 10 asked me what I was wearing, I told them I'm their future. Sad, lonely, depressed, and alone with nothing better to do on a holiday evening.
And I'm sure, given the nature of children's thinking, no one got what you were saying, which is like, we have candy now.
I'd like to think it sat in their head, and then like, today or something, that it'll really start to eat at them. Like that's my thought process there. Like, not right away. Like right away, it's like, yeah, whatever. And then, sometime later, like, man, my hairline could be going, and I won't have any friends. And that's my thought. Like I again, long play. It's a long con, but I think it'll work. So I covered Monday Night Raw. I covered AEW's Dark Elevation after that. MLW will be releasing stuff again soon. When they start, we'll be covering that on Thursdays. WWE SmackDown on Friday this week. It's a pre-recorded show because it would be very unfair to ask wrestlers to start to do a evening show in the United States or what have you on a Friday evening, then fly to Saudi Arabia for a Saturday show evening in Saudi Arabia. So it just doesn't work. Main event this week will be Gunther killing poor Rey Mysterio. Look forward to that one. Apparently it was a great match. Like because I know the spoilers. So there was that. So look forward to all of that. I cover mixed martial arts action on Saturdays. Last Saturday's card mostly sucked. This coming Saturday's card is mostly crap, but I will be covering them either way, so give those a look in the MMA zone at 411mania.com. I also host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. Sunday evenings, I record that. So if you're interested in the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts, I'm happy to be your guide through that. Give that a listen wherever you're listening to this, and you can find me over there talking mixed martial arts. That's it for me. We will be back here next week in some form or fashion. So thank you very much, Mark, as always.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. If you turned in just for the plugs, that might have been the most entertaining part of the show tonight. Well, in 2 weeks, the next DMU Hollywood will be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I promise you it'll be much more entertaining and probably the full 2 hours. Our show will be entertaining. I can't speak for Black Panther.
Well,
all right. Until then, for Jason Teasley, who's still in the comments, putting up comments.
He's doing the countdown. The New Year's Eve ball has just dropped.
Oh, okay. So real quick, he's proven. I said that if we weren't done by 10:30, that I was going to start doing things with my wife on camera. Except that it's 10:30 now. We're ending. So good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Saturday Night Live. Good night.